Welcome back. Well, as protests against the killing of Black American George Floyd enters a week, President Donald Trump has deployed the U.S. military to quell these protests. During a brief televised address from the White House, Trump called himself a president of law and order and urged state governors to dominate protests and call on law enforcement to get tougher. He also called the protests an act of domestic terror and vowed strict action. About 1,700 National Guard troops have been called in response to the protests in Washington, where buildings and monuments have been vandalized near the White House. And in fact, police, some on horseback, used tear gas to drive back protesters, and they gathered outside the White House on Monday. Several protesters were pushed to the ground as police with shields moved aggressively towards demonstrators. The tear gas sent many demonstrators running, pushing crowds several blocks further. The death of George Floyd, remember, which triggered widespread protests against the United States, has been declared a homicide following an official post-mortem. The report found that the 46-year-old suffered a cardiac arrest while being restrained by the Minneapolis police.
Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail.
Meanwhile, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo expressed concerns on the raging protests amid the coronavirus spread. Despite being under weeks of lockdown, the governor said that these protests could lead to a spike in cases.
And now we're seeing these mass gatherings over the past several nights that could, in fact, exacerbate the COVID-19 spread. We spent all this time closed down, locked down, masked, socially distanced, and then you turn on the TV and you see these mass gatherings that could potentially be infecting hundreds and hundreds of people after everything that we have done.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.